Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. Arsenal's title charge took a frustrating bump on the road on Saturday night following that 2-2 draw against Sunderland. A result that feels more like a defeat than a point gained. Defensive lapses, a Haylender with the dagger, a second half rally, but a lack of composure at the end, and we threw away 2 points. We'll be looking into that. We'll be talking about that. What went wrong in that first half, what we did right in the second half, and of course what it means for the weeks ahead with that big win for City against the defending champions. Tonight I've got two special guests with me. I've got the most dangerous Arsenal fan alive, the Arsenal Jason Bourne, Neil Shah. He was on the run a bit. That's why we started a bit late. He had a tail and he had to lose it. So that's why he's here, and he's got a new SIM card. Neil Shah, how you doing, mate?
Thank you for that intro as always. I'm well. Apart from the result, I'm doing all right, Michael. So thank you so much for having me on. Always a pleasure and an honour. So yeah, looking forward to it.
No problem. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And I've got a debutant tonight. Another one, throwing away new caps. Like confetti, a bit like Tommy Tuchel for England. I've got Cornelius O'Donovan with me, the quiz master extraordinaire, and a massive gooner as well. Cornelius, a pleasure to have you on. How are you feeling tonight?
So break me in gently, please.
Yes, a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for joining us tonight. It was supposed to be yesterday, but my son was a bit ill. I had to give him the cowpole action. I had to give it to him tonight, and he's upstairs now, and he's away. But a pleasure, gents. So let's get into it. Arsenal went to Wearside, and it was talked up all week of it being a tough game. And I personally thought we probably would have too much for them. But then we'll look and see maybe there was a reason why they flew out the traps and why we struggled so much in that first half. But a 2-2, a pretty chaotic game, especially in that second half, Cornelius. So what's your reflections on just that first half and just how the game sort of panned out, especially with just the way we looked in that first half? It seemed like maybe heavy legs, from the trips we've done over the last week, or do you just think that we underestimated them a little bit?
It's very possible, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think the away fixtures have been particularly kind to us anyway. I think we played Liverpool away and Man United away, and I think if you look at the corresponding fixtures we played against those sides last season, I think we've got a good points. I think we're plus points rather than minus points, if you know what I mean. In the corresponding fixtures last season, Trossard got a world class goal anyway and pulled us out of trouble, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the second half, I think we really dodged a bullet anyway by not getting Mudryk and getting Trossard instead. January 2 years back, 3 years back.
Yeah, 3 years back. When you think about it, yeah, absolutely. He's been a guy that's not been, he's kind of frustrated people, hasn't he, for the last couple of seasons? How he kind of, he's very inconsistent. But I think this season he's definitely up there as one of our main performers in attack where we've been hit so hard with so many injuries.
I think so. When it comes to injuries, at least we've got strength in depth, which we didn't have this time last season. We had injuries to Kai Havertz and Odegaard last season, and we really missed them. And if it hadn't been for instance, for Mourinho stepping up to the plate and getting a number of crucial goals at crucial times, I think we could have fallen behind Manchester City and end up in third behind Liverpool and City second. So we've got the strength in depth now that we didn't have before. Sunderland, I don't think are any pushovers. Were they third before we played them at the weekend?
I think they were fourth. I think because of the games that had happened beforehand, they slipped down to fourth before kickoff.
They'd lost to Man United anyway, hadn't they, the other week? And
yeah.
But there were no mugs, and I think they're with Granit Xhaka there anyway. There's a bit more steel there, but it's disappointing to lose anyway in the last minute. Of course it is, and perhaps I think some sections have hinted that perhaps David Raya's decision making was called into question. That he didn't punch clear in the last minute. But that said, his decision making all season, I think, has been generally very good. When was the last time he'd let in 2 goals in a game? It was probably the PSG game in the Champions League.
Yeah, when we won 7-2. Yeah. I don't know. It seemed like in that second half, towards the end, where he made a triple save, and I think
That's right. Yeah,
it ended up not counting anyway because I think it was offside or something like that. Because when you look at his stats, they say that he didn't make any saves. Which obviously
they did say that.
So that must have been called offside. But there was that incident you saw in the second half now where he makes a save and he doesn't know where the ball is, and then he's kind of. I think before then after that moment he was kind of holding his arm as if he had done some real damage to it. You just think he was a bit dazed because when he came out flying out for that ball where they equalised, it just seemed a bit weird to me because Gabriel, even if he'd have got caught, the striker caught it like he did. Raya would have just caught it on his line if he was on his line. It was just really strange goal to concede. I mean, what's your thoughts on that and obviously how the game sort of panned out? Because the first half was pretty much so frustrating, but the second half, I think from the start of the second half to like the first to when Trossard scored, I thought we were outstanding the way we played and we really got the bit between us, book teeth. But what was your thoughts on that?
I'll go about my thoughts on the overall game first before I get to the I thought about the Raya incident. For me, look, I know a lot of people are saying that at the moment, like Jack's also said, and he's probably quite rightly so, that that maybe they're riding a bit of a wave at the moment and they're not going to be like this consistently, probably, but it's still a difficult fixture to go to, in my opinion. They're a tough side, and I think, as Cornelius said, Xhaka has kind of reinforced that. And I think what I just found unusual about the first half, I thought it was a little bit stop-start. I don't know. I'm getting a bit of an echo. Anyone, you guys getting that? Or is it just my side? Sorry.
I can hear it.
Yeah, you're right. I'm okay. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. They came out very physically. They were very physical. Sorry, and they were stopping us in our tracks with respect to rhythm, any fluency. And I think the referee didn't help either. The referee was, literally giving them everything and us nothing. I mean, one incident is clear, which actually leads to their goal. I think one of our players was fouled, and it was quite blatant, and nothing was given. And then all of a sudden, from that same move, I think Zubimendi intercepts the ball and he gets a yellow card for it. And it was a fair challenge, in my opinion. Yeah. And that really leads to their goal. And I think the referee, what I'm trying to say is the referee, I don't think was doing us any favours. They were physically strong, but what annoyed me about us and frustrated me about us, we in the last, I'd say 18 months, 24 months, we have stood up to teams like that. We have found a way to be equally as brutal, if you like, in a footballing sense. And we're not bullied off the park anymore like we used to be, especially under Wenger's late stage of Wenger's era, where a lot of the players were quite. They were very talented in respect of their football technicality, but they were bullied off the pitch a little bit. And especially when we used to go up north on those dark, rainy nights, and it was quite cold. And I think we have managed to change all of that in the way we are as a team. And now, if anything, we're the ones that can do the bullying rather than being kind of, pushed off the park, if you like. So I found that quite unusual. But having said that, I'm also going to, and I'm not using an excuse, but I think there is something in there. We've obviously been playing more games than them. We had quite another tough European game, which was also physical. We managed to counter it, but it was also physical. Yeah, we did. We can't not talk about our injuries. I know, Cornelius, you're right. We've got the strength in depth now. But if you look at our front line, it's literally obliterated. Yeah. So, and of course, Odegaard, who's probably one of our most, if not most creative player, we don't have him either. So it's a bit of that. But come the second half, we're a different animal. Now, why couldn't we be that animal from the start? That's the conundrum. And they were so good, as bad as they may have been in the first half. They were able to completely manipulate Sunderland, adapt to them, and actually completely rule the game. So that's the bit I kind of was a quandary in my opinion. I don't understand why they couldn't do that for the whole 90 minutes. But with I'm taking up too much time, but just quickly with the Raya thing, yeah, I think it could be because he was rattled. You're right, because he did go down. He was holding his arm, but he doesn't come across as that kind of player. He doesn't come across as that kind of. He's got a very strong mindset. He's very singular-minded when it comes to goalkeeping. I'm sure, like all the defenders, he doesn't want to concede. I think it was a 50-50. Both of them, maybe they both anticipated doing something. Gabriel anticipated Raya doing something. Raya anticipated Gabriel doing something. And I think they were just caught in a mess. I think it was a 1 second moment of madness. But let's not forget the strike. That was a great contact. How he managed to manipulate or contort his foot to get that shot on target, it was incredible. So we got to give Sunderland that, but it is absolutely gut-wrenching, absolutely heartbreaking. So yeah, it felt like a loss. Although we got a point away to Sunderland, which some people might say is not a bad result, it still felt like a loss after clawing our way back into the game.
Yeah, are you the same, Cornelius? Do you think it's, it's hard to say. Obviously, we're 11 games in. You can't say, can you say is this 2 points dropped or a point gained? Obviously, compared to the, when you go off the week that we've had and being 1-0 down away from home, how are you feeling with that? Do you think it's, a last minute goal
in your favour, like in the Newcastle fixture, always seems like a great result, doesn't it? And to lose a goal in the last like that, it's heartbreaking, certainly. Neil, I thought you made a very good point about the way Arsenal teams used to be bullied, and I did a bit of reading before tonight's podcast, and Abu Diaby's career was effectively finished at Sunderland because Sunderland were kicking lumps out of us in, was it 2005, 2006?
Yeah,
at the end of this
before the Champions League final. Yeah, it was before the Champions League final.
And he was in the Vieira mould. That was a great loss to Arsenal.
Yeah. It's almost like it's one of those places where you've got like a bit of a dark history there, a bit of a cloud. Because I was thinking that in the week as well. That's where
a bit like Stoke City.
Yeah, a bit like Stoke City, a bit like St Andrews as well. Obviously, with what happened with Eduardo as well, there's certain grounds, and even Old Trafford to a certain extent, where there's just something about that place, and Anfield, you could say, where it's always a bit difficult. It always seems to be something otherworldly about those places when you go and play there. Another point, obviously, in looking in hindsight, was Arteta's substitutions or lack of substitutions. What was your thoughts on that? I mean, I'll show you. I'll show you this first. Let me show you this first, guys. Got this guy that's on. Where is it? Oh, it's not on here. Bear with me. Let me remove that and let me add the other one. There's a guy who's created this spreadsheet. It's quite good. And I've nicked it. I'll obviously give him the credit for it. It's gonna be on the slide. But there's an interesting little number on the side which kind of tells you the games that they've played, obviously, and bear with me. Let me just wait for it to come up. It's taken ages because it's live, and it came up in 1 second before, and it's doing the old little clock thing where it's going round and round. Okay, it's come up. Bear with me. I've got it here. Okay, so have a look at this, gents. I don't know if you can see it that well. Let me know. If not, I'll bring it on the full screen. But this is the guy that made it is tagged down here. Go to his website. He is a gooner, I believe, and he's a really good person to follow. As you can see, that's our results so far this season. When you look at it like that, obviously the one loss against Liverpool, and a couple of draws doesn't look too bad. But what I want you to look at is what I'm going to go into in terms of Arteta and the substitutions. The rest column. Those numbers there are the number of days, full days rest that each of the players have had in between each game. As you can see, the start of the season, it was quite nice. You actually had a week break between the Leeds and Liverpool game. Then after that, after the international break, so people say that's block 1, block 2. Now, if you look at block 2 and block 3, which we just finished, I mean, that week we've had going to Burnley, going to Slavia Prague, and then Sunderland. They've had 2 days rest in between those 2 games. So having that information and the fact that he didn't make more substitutions, and people are saying, "Oh well, we're totally ruined with all the attacking, injuries," as Cornelius has said. But on that back of that information, Neil, do you think that he's made a bit of a blunder there in terms of just making the one substitution, and the fact that it was a defensive one? It kind of invited Sunderland on to us that after he made it, because after that we didn't really sort of get out of our half.
I even before seeing this, I think it was a blunder. I think, and I don't want to sit there and take anyone or the manager or the coaching apart or anything like that. But sometimes you've got to be accountable. We're playing at a very high level, or the highest level, I believe, in the world. I think the Premiership is probably one of the toughest, if not the toughest leagues in the world. So, it is a very glamour sport to be involved in, especially in the Premiership. So, you're expected to deliver at the very top. We have become second 3 years running, or 3 seasons running, and we're looking good. And I think we are now this season the most well equipped to win, or at least have a very, very good and solid assault on the Premiership and the Champions League, I believe. With that in mind, when you approach a game and not knowing this information about the rest, so that's quite alarming. That suggests to me that you've got to trust your whole squad, and you've got to utilize them, and you've got to play all their players to their strengths. Now, we had taken the lead, and I've felt that if you look at when Manchester City were flying, and they might still come back into it again this season, we don't know. But when they were at their absolute best, even if they were struggling against their team, they got back into the game. Not only did they get back into the game, they would then go and score not 1, not 2, not 3, but maybe even 4 goals. They would absolutely nullify the opponent, just put them to bed completely. They would kill the game. Liverpool were doing the same kind of thing. And I think most Premiership champions have done that. What I felt with Arteta is we did so well, so well, especially with Trossard's goal, to come back into this game after being a goal down. When I watched the first half, I was starting to think, although I thought we would win this game, not, even though it was a tough prospect, but when I watched the first half, I thought we're going to be lucky to get a draw. So when we got the equaliser, I was happy, but then we were playing so well, it was almost inevitable that we were going to get another. So when we got that second, why are we not driving for a third or a fourth? What he did what he's done, I think, in previous seasons, where he started to play it safe and thought, right, I'm going to shut up shop now, and to bring in Mosquera, or Mosquito as I like to call him, to add to our defence rather than substitute either Gabriel or Saliba. I found that really odd. If he wanted to do that, fine. But I think he would have been better off bringing on a Dowman or an Ethan or someone up front with legs to then not just give us freshness up front and maybe have another couple of attacks on goal, but also that mindset of getting into the opponent's heads that, oh my God, they're not happy with 2-1. They're going to go for a third or a fourth. But by bringing on another defender, it was almost like, oh, right, they're actually trying to shut up shop now. We're going to go for it. We've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So I think that was a mistake. I really do. And plus, it's about trusting your squad. And I think, those guys that are sitting on the substitutes bench thinking, actually, I haven't done much wrong when I've been coming on. Let me get on there. But to make one substitution, he made just one substitution, didn't he?
Yeah.
That is bizarre when you then see those stats of 2 days rest. Yeah. So I think some of the blame has to go on Arteta and the management of the substitutes.
Yeah, 100%. Before I come to you, Cornelius, just a comment from Brenny in the chat. How you doing, mate? 2 points dropped after taking a 2-1 lead. Hate drawing or losing from both sides. Yeah, always think that as well. And Steve's in the chat as well. How you doing? How you doing, guys? But yeah, what's your thoughts on that as well, Cornelius, in terms of what you've just seen with the numbers there, with the because I mean I haven't shown you guys the rest of November and December yet. When you see that, you're going to think like, oh my God. But what's your thoughts on that?
To go back to something Neil said about not killing off games, apart from the Leeds game where we won 5-0, how many games have we had a two goal margin in? We actually won this season. Because you don't want like 85, with 85 minutes on the clock. You don't want it just to be 2-1 or 3-2, do you? You want to kill the game by then, the way, as you said, City and Liverpool in their pomp have done. So apart from the Leeds game, I suppose the Forest game, they're both home games.
Yeah.
But that's.
The Atletico Madrid game, which second half,
Brighton, I suppose, too, isn't it?
But it's been very sort of not narrow wins, but and again, I think it leans into the attack. We're missing bodies, so not being able to change. But then we do have players, as Neil said, we do have the likes of Dauman, and we do have the likes of Ethan, who have shown this season that they can be trusted. But then he doesn't trust them in certain instances, which I think with the squad he can't really do that anymore.
No, I can understand the hesitancy not to play them 12 months ago, but they're all a year older now, and they should be trustworthy.
Yeah.
Going back to the column about rest, what's happening with the Crystal Palace fixture in the Carabao Cup? Because Palace wanted to delay it, didn't they?
Yeah. So this is the rest after the international break. This is what it looks like. So obviously you can see the Palace one at the moment. It would be just a full 1 day's rest before we play that game, which is why Arteta and Palace, I think, have got the same situation where they play on the 21st as well.
Yes.
So they're trying to get that pushed forward, so at least that there's a 2-day full day's rest.
Yes.
So Palace are in the same boat, and I'm not sure. I don't know if I heard it or whether I imagined it. But I think their game has been moved. I'm not sure. So or Palace have requested it for it to be moved. So out of fairness, you'd imagine that both will get moved. But Everton, it's at their new stadium. I think it's on TV because it would be on a Sunday. So it's all dependent. It's probably not got nothing to do with Everton. It's probably to do with Sky and the TV people again to decide whether they're going to do it or not. So, but that's crazy. Again, the only good thing I'd say about that is when we come back from the international break, we've got the first 4 games are all in London, so we're not doing that much travelling. But then you've got the Villa away and Club Brugge away, and then we're back home again. So there isn't going to be that much, much in the legs as such. Especially when you finish that off with Palace, Brighton, and Villa again. Obviously, because of the fixtures, we've got to play Villa twice in a few weeks. So there isn't that much, air miles, let's say. But that's crazy again, right? And again, it leans into Arteta having to trust what he's got. Neil,
can I be honest? Cornelius, you might be able to help me out with this. I don't recall for a long time. Well, you as well, Michael, where there's been 1 day's break between 2 games. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've never seen that. That should be. I think that spreadsheet is brilliant, by the way. But I think the guy he should have made that red. That's crazy.
You're probably going back to, when they used to. What was it? That Boxing Day.
Yes.
In the 1960s, when it went crazy and everybody, I think it was a high scoring goals in the league, and I think that was those days when they used to play one game and they used to play literally the next day or the day after.
Yes,
it was very often the Spurs Arsenal games. I think were held, so there wasn't that much travelling, but there were, as you say, games played virtually back to back.
Yeah. Wow. But that's crazy, right? I mean, go ahead, bro.
It's worrying because you think this is again. I don't want again. I feel like I'm just making excuses up in this pod, but these are the situations that can cause injuries. You stretch a players for a game. I'm pretty sure the Palace and the game against Palace in the quarterfinal, it's not going to be easy. The Palace have demonstrated they are a very, very good team. And they've got an exceptional manager, by the way, and they're going to be really up for it. They want to avenge that 1-0 defeat, against us earlier, and they know they can beat us. They've done it. They've been pretty good against us in the last 2-3 seasons. So it's going to be a difficult game. So our players are going to, and I can't see Arteta actually choosing too many fringe players for that. I think he's going to go for it. I'd like to think he will.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But this he's got to. We are still depleted. We don't know. We're hoping that. I always hate international breaks. I think, especially when the team's in flow, it's a horrible time to come because it breaks that momentum. Yeah. However, I've got to say, probably for the first time, maybe the second time, I've actually welcomed this one because I think these 2 weeks have come at a great time for us to be able to recuperate. Some of maybe we need, out of the 5 or 6 key players which are out there, I'm hoping at least 1, if not 2, can come back because we got that game against our neighbours. I didn't say it, Michael. I didn't say the name. No £1 fine.
I've said it. I need to put a pound
£1 fine to you then.
Yeah,
I've said it. Just for context, we're not allowed to use their name. This pod forbids it. They don't exist as far as this pod's concerned. We've obviously got the North London derby, and I just feel that I'm glad in a way that we've got that break to try and get a couple of the players, maybe the Martinelli, maybe Madueke. I'm hearing rumbles that he could be ready, and Gyökeres, who actually has started to find his feet and he's got his fitness, and then unfortunately he gets injured. It's just sod's law with us, and I don't know what the reason is, and that's another annoying thing. Why does this club sustain so many injuries? It's literally a player a game. It's not, something is not right. Something is not right there. I don't see any other clubs going through what we go through when it comes to injuries. They've got to look into this. Someone has got to be called in from the outside, and they've got to examine why this is happening to us. But maybe it's happening. I don't know. But we've got to take advantage of this break, try and get these players ready. And also, can I just say, although it would be nice to get these records with the defensive, the goals conceded and the shots on target, that cannot be our focus. We've got to focus on winning games. We've got to make sure we don't lose focus, because the most important thing, and we've got to be single-minded about this, is winning the Premiership. I couldn't care if we concede another 40 goals, but as long as we win the Premiership, it doesn't matter. So that's got to be our focus. And I'm glad that actually we got that eight game, without concession, occurred against Sunderland, because you can imagine what it'd been like if it happened against Tottenham. We wouldn't hear the end of it from them. So sorry, I said it. £1 fine.
That's all right.
I knew I'd fall in the trap. I knew I'd fall in the trap. So anyway, there you go.
I hear you, because it was kind of, for me, it was getting a bit, this is great and everything, the clean sheets, but we just need to focus on winning games and worry about that afterwards. And if we get to game 30 and we're it looks like we're going to do it, and then we've got quite a good defensive record, and okay, but for now, just focus on winning the game. Don't worry about that. If you concede a goal, that's fine. It's football. You expected to concede the goals, so how the game goes and everything, So just got Steve saying, we missed Gyökeres and his movement up front. We definitely did that. Brenny, you agrees with you, Neil. I think we could have got the third goal. Diamond and Waneri could have taken advantage or tied fullbacks, but he said Arteta not trusting Diamond and Waneri is not good. Absolutely right, Steve. So I don't think Diamond should have come on in the Sunderland game. It's right to keep him off. One big challenge, it could have been serious. True, you do remember he's 15 still, and obviously and that sort of thing. But Brenny's obviously saying I think Diamond would have been okay. Do you see your point? But I think the fullbacks they were there, because especially the one who were on Saka, Ronaldo, or whatever. Apparently, he's not even a proper fullback. And one thing I've noticed with Saka is like when he gets a defender on a yellow, he doesn't try to run at him anymore. He just kind of says, "Oh, all right, I'm not going to try and get you sent off or anything." Not that little bit of a nasty streak in him, which you want really, because you want him to keep driving at that guy. I mean, and I'm telling you, every time his fullback gets a yellow card, it's pretty much okay. He's like, all right, I'm just going to leave you alone now. It's like, no, just run at him. Just keep going. Just make his life hell, and make the opposition manager pull that, weaken their team a little bit by bringing on someone that they didn't want to bring on. But he just seems to get people a yellow, and then he just doesn't. Certain people say like someone like what's his face in Newcastle, Anthony Gordon. He's got that little bit of a snide in him, that streak in him, that he'll just keep running at that person and try and antagonise him when someone's in the yellow. But I think Saka just needs to have that little bit of edge on him still. What's your thoughts on it, Cornelius? You know, the fact that he didn't turn to his bench. Obviously, was he? Especially, you know, I keep going back to that, to the fixtures and the week that we had in terms of the travel, and the fact that he just didn't. You know, he only made the one change.
It's a curious one, isn't it? I agree with something Neil said anyway about long-term injuries. I mean, Danny Welbeck at the moment at Brighton, I think, is in the form of his life. But we never got the most out of him because he was injured virtually all the time, for whatever reason. I thought Theo Walcott was too long on the treatment table as well. The Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. So it's not a new phenomenon. So is it something to do with the training ground or what? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so, because the thing is, it doesn't seem to be the injuries don't seem to be impact injuries. You know, like we had two yesterday on Saturday where Marino got the elbow, and then Timber, you know, clashed heads with the other guy, and he actually. So there's, you know, impact injuries, and they could have resulted in those two coming off, or maybe concussion protocols, whatever. But everything, you know, it seems most of it seems to be someone's pulled a muscle here or someone's strained something there. You know, Martinelli strained, I think it was his groin after he came on. I think it was against Palace. Gyökeres seems like he's pulled a muscle, his hamstring. Madueke as well. Again, it was like a pull. I think the only one that's kind of had an impact injury of that was Odegaard, where he sort of hit his knee with someone. He had his shoulder, yes, as well, and then he hit his knee with somebody else's. But it seems a lot of them are muscular and not, was it low impact, no impact injuries. You know, it's like, you know, strange. So then you do have to look at it. You do have to look at it. Is it the way that they're getting prepared and the surface that they're training on and everything? You know, there's been rumours, stories about London Colney, the pitches are literally rock hard because they've like built them from scratch. The underlay is just too firm. You know, I don't know, but it's crazy that so many, you know, seven people are out and they're all like in one department as such. And the good thing, like you said, Neil, the fact that we've got this break, let's fingers crossed no one else picks up anything, you know, whilst they're away. And get, you know, maybe 2 or 3 bodies back for the North London derby, it will be massive going into that game. But what's your hopes now, Neil, in terms of looking at what we've done so far? If you have a look at the table, as we like to do, because we're up there, and it's funny that. Hang on, let me just double check. That's weird. There's nothing in 5th place. I can see there's something there in 5th place. I can't see, like, it's like a blank space. I can see the figures. I can see played 11, played 1-5, but I just can't see the name of the team on it. I just can't see the name of the team. Anyway, Arsenal first, Man City. You know, obviously after their win yesterday, Chelsea doing putting a terrible Wolves side to the sword, and Sunderland obviously doing what they're doing. How are you feeling at the moment? I'll go to you, Cornelius, first, and I'll come back to Neil. How are you feeling about it this season, Cornelius? Have you got, you know, obviously what's happened in the last 3 seasons, but how you feel? How's your what's your gut telling you in terms of what we're going to do this season?
Last season, I just felt that the gods were conspiring against us. Anything that could go wrong did. Saliba got sent off at the halfway line against, was it Bournemouth? Yeah. Declan Rice got sent off for little or nothing. And when Declan Rice got sent off, it reminded me of the time that Van Persie got sent off at Barcelona. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
To kick the ball away. And so I thought anything that could go wrong did go wrong. That's not happening this season anymore. There doesn't seem to be an agenda or anything. So I'm very pleased the way things are working out. I'm optimistic.
I like it. I like that. I just hope we definitely have seemed to have. I think a lot of the things that we were getting silly yellow cards, weren't we, last season? And Trossard, obviously Rice. Yeah, and I think our discipline this season so far, Neil, touch wood, has been really, really good. We've had picked up yellow cards, but when you look at the stats, it's completely like we're right at the bottom in terms of that. And I think that's us, looking at the players, talking amongst themselves, obviously Arteta and Gabriel Heinze and the team and behind them, just kind of saying, look, we need to make sure we've got 11 people on the pitch as much as we can, and as long as we're, the amount of games we ended last season with 10 men was ridiculous. But I know you don't like to look too far ahead, but I know, well, you do mostly, because you normally say we're going to win the quad. But how are you feeling after that? How are you feeling after that draw and looking at the table now, and with that run we've got to come once the international break's over?
If you'd asked me at the start of the season, would you have taken this position where we are, 4 points clear at the top? We've got the best defensive record in the league. We are in the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup. We are unbeaten in the Champions League without even conceding one goal. I would have bitten your arms off, Michael, and maybe some more. I don't know. But, but the thing is that I have to say, I'm still reeling from this Sunderland drop 2 points. I really am. And I'll tell you why. Because if it had been another weekend where Liverpool were facing someone else and Manchester City were facing someone else, I don't think the impact for me would have been as great. But because they were playing each other, I felt this was probably the best opportunity to even further that cushion. And we didn't. Yeah. And I think, all right, as I said earlier, Sunderland aren't, they're no mugs. They are a good unit. They're a strong unit. And we knew that they were going to come against, play that kind of tactical game. My only worry from it is I hope other teams don't think, okay, this is a way to stop Arsenal. That's my only thing. But we've got to rise above it, because we can deal with it, because we showed that in the second half. So maybe we'll be okay. How I feel about the season, one thing I will say as well, it's not just the players. I think now we've got the full Monty with all the backroom people. If you think about it, we've got an incredible director now who's made these acquisitions happen in my eyes. I don't think it's all Arteta's doing. I think he's got a lot, probably predominantly 70 to 80% of the influence to get these players in. And I don't think he's finished yet, by the way. Then we've got Heinze, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And I think that has made a difference, because he is beyond passionate, this man. You can see it. And I think with him, he's a good foil for Arteta, in my opinion. And I think he's going to get the best out of our players, and he's probably he'll have a real go at them. Where Arteta might not do it, he'll do it in his way. I think Heinze will do it in a different way. And I think, for any lack of discipline or anything stupid, Heinze will be on their case, in my opinion. So I think we've got a great background, off the pitch staff or setup alongside the players. The only thing we need and we need our players back. We need to be able to pick from pretty much a full strength squad, because we don't want to just do well in the Prem. We also want to go as far as we can in all 3 cup competitions. So we're going to need all our players. And also we have to not be complacent. Maybe there was a little bit of complacency in that first half against Sunderland. I don't know. But we cannot afford. I've always said there's only 2 things that can beat us when we're like this. 1 is complacency, and 2 is key injuries. Unfortunately, we seem to suffer from both, if not at the same time. And we've got to make sure we can just iron that out. If all of that isn't there, I've got very high hopes for this season. I think we'll not only win the Prem, I think we're going to win at least 2 cups. And we could go find the Champions League. Well, we almost did it last season in the Champions League. And I think we're better this season, in my opinion. So there we go.
Next game is in the Champions League against Bayern, isn't it? So that's going to be a really good test. Obviously, that's going to be a blockbuster to see what they do. They're very much on the front foot they are, and but I think you can get at them defensively. And I think if we get your your Odegaards back and your Cornelius and stuff like that, I think we definitely need. We need to sort this out. We can't be going into games now, especially this run we've got coming up. With all these attackers out, and I still kind of think that Saka's not really at the races yet. There's still elements where he's still up and down. I don't think he had that great a game on Saturday night. I thought he was pretty poor, but great finish. But the chance he had in his left foot is I was more really disappointed with that, when it dropped down to him. You even look at the chances that we had with Zubimendi hitting the bar, and I just thought the first half that it was definitely a tale of 2 halves. The first half, and then the second half up to when Trossard scored. I mean, we played some amazing stuff, and we should have been out of sight. And I think what Cornelius has touched on earlier, in terms of you look at the results, the score lines, very, very efficient, 2-0, 2-0, there's no 4 3s or 4s. I want to see more of those to boost the goal difference up, and then to make sure that, okay, if Raya has a flap at something later on, then it doesn't matter, because we're kind of comfortable that aside. But yes, interesting times ahead. Let's hope, fingers crossed. Like I said, everything goes well in this international break. I really hope and pray Thomas Tuchel doesn't play Saka or Rice for any longer than necessary, because they're dead rubbers. England have already qualified. He doesn't need to play his full strength team. He can experiment. But knowing him, he'll run those two into the ground. I'm sure they'll play the most minutes more than anybody else. So just let's touch on just before we finish. Just touch on our rivals. Obviously City and Liverpool. Cornelius. I find it quite interesting that Liverpool have made a complaint to PGMOL about their officiating yesterday. When we did that last season, we were sort of told to shut up and get on with it. I don't think anyone's come out and said anything like that about Liverpool's complaint, especially a particular Spitty McGee, aka Jamie Carragher. He's not come out and said anything about that when he said that we were totally wrong doing it. Gary Neville said, "Oh, we've undermined the whole of the refereeing community by at grassroots and everything because of the statement that we made when we made it."
I'm sorry about this, Michael. I saw the headline on, I think it was on Facebook or X earlier today, and I just assumed it was some sort of joke headline because 2 years ago there was all that talk about Liverpool trying to get a league game replayed against Spurs because down to 9 men and Spurs they did a goal disallowed, and because of the VAR chap was half asleep or something. So there was all that talk then that Slot was complaining. So I've not read the article, not taken it seriously. So I'm sorry that's all that's passed me by.
It's kind of a weird question here, but who would you prefer to be chasing us down, in this title race? For me, I think Liverpool have got a lot of problems defensively. I think they've already lost 5 games. I think the last team to win the title after getting 18 points after the first 11 games was Everton, I think, in 1987. And obviously no one's done it in Premier League history, but in football history, I think 7 or 8 teams have done it, but the last one was Everton, I think, in 87. That shows you they're pretty much done, especially how competitive the league is now. So Liverpool, they're cooked. So is City. So you can't. Are you hoping, Cornelius, that a certain robot malfunctions up front for them? Because it seems to be that's the only worry, right? Apart from, as Neil maybe said, that our complacency and injuries could be the problem.
Yeah, I think the fixtures have been very kind to Liverpool anyway. Did they win their first 5 or first 6 games on the bounce?
Yeah. Everyone gave them the title already, didn't they? After the first 5 games, they were champions already. Fair,
I thought they were fortunate against us to score in the 81st minute with a brilliant free kick. Brilliant free kick it was. But a goal seemed to be the fairest result there. So I think the fixtures have been kind to Liverpool anyway. But as you say, I think they're cooked now. They only lost 4 games the whole of the last season. Lost 5 already this season.
Yeah. Shows you, isn't it? Proper massive fall off, Neil. What are you thinking, Neil?
About rivals? I did anticipate City to be up there again. A lot of people kind of saying, "Oh, maybe their bubbles burst and now they're on the downward spiral." I didn't think that at all. The only thing that annoys me about them is these numbers of charges against them and nothing's being said. It's like it's almost been brushed under the carpet, and that is very annoying for me. Why did it take literally, was it Everton and Nottingham Forest within seconds for them to be penalised? But here we are, God knows how many months or years later, and City are still, able to keep that at bay. I think this is where everything is so wrong about the whole of the Football Association. I think it's wrong the way certain things are addressed because there's no consistency. But having said that, I'd rather beat a City team where they have no punishments, because can you imagine if we do win a league and then they've maybe been docked 10, 12 points? Everyone's going, yeah, but they had 10 to 10 points.
Yeah, true.
So I'd rather do it. I'd rather have their punishment done in between league seasons, not during the season anyway. But God knows what's going to happen with that. And it's interesting the thing about the point about Liverpool and complaining about this goal. They're also one of is they the only team that managed to have a referee not referee their games anymore as well. They've done that as well, haven't they? From memory. Yeah. So it seems to me that they seem to get their way when they want something. So I just want a consistency applied all round. But what do I feel? I would suggest that City you can't discount them unless that, right, as you said, something that we need to somehow find a way of transmitting some kind of short-circuiting kind of transmissions and disable him that way. Michael, you and I maybe can, with our sci-fi knowledge, maybe come up with some kind of system to be able to do that. But I would also suggest Chelsea. I don't know whether they're ready to actually win it yet, but they look tasty in some ways, because they're starting to, although they've got like 20 million players. I think now they're starting to now get used to each other and the way they play as a unit. So I would suggest not Liverpool now so much, but I would say City are our closest. Yeah. And I think Chelsea are there as well. The team I'm surprised about is Newcastle, the way they've dropped away. I didn't expect that. But for me, it's City and Chelsea.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. Well, the next 3 games is obviously Spurs, Bayern, and then Chelsea away. And I think Chelsea have got a little bit of a bee in a bonnet, with us the last couple of games, especially with Caicedo coming out with some of the stuff, saying how long we've been together and everything like that, and that they're better than us and what have you. So I'm sure they're going to be up for it. But let's hope, like we said, we're in a stronger position. We've got some players back. We can do some rotation, because like that fixture list coming up is insane, and we're going to need the full complement of our squad. But that's all for tonight. Thank you so much for everyone.
Michael, sorry, can I just ask a question of you two?
Go.
Very quickly, because I'm hearing lots of talk about it, and I think I just want to get your opinions on Eze.
All right, yeah.
I mean, there's, for me, I think that there are times where you might feel that he's maybe not applying himself as much as or as well as he could. Yeah. But I also have, for me, he's made a jump from Crystal Palace. And don't get me wrong, they're a big club, but he's gone to a huge club in Arsenal. He's also, I think he's quite overwhelmed, because he always wanted to come back here. He obviously started here at Arsenal, didn't he? He's come back. It's like the prodigal son's returned. And I just feel that, I think, he's getting criticism, and maybe some of it is justified. But I just feel that he's still good. There's a lot more of him to come. And although we are 12 games, how many games we played already so far? I don't know, 15, 16 games. I still think there's still a time factor for him to really get the ball running, and maybe to find a position that really suits him in this way this system is working. But I don't know what Michael and Cornelius, what are your thoughts on that? Because I'm still sitting on the fence about. I don't want to be critical of him or anything like that, or negative. I still think there's a tremendous player there to come out very, very soon, in my opinion.
Yeah, what do you think, Cornelius?
What do I think? Well, I think where you see the sort of slack that Alexander Isak is getting at Liverpool, saying give him a chance. He's not at a proper pre-season or anything. Well, we're now in November, so I think if he should be given slack, why shouldn't Eze be given slack? Yeah, he had one chance, didn't he, early in the first half, which I think he put over the bar. But I only saw the highlights. I didn't see the whole game live or anything. What was he like for the whole 90 minutes, Chance?
I thought he tried to make things happen. He did go on a really good run in the first half down the byline, and he cut it across. But I just think he's not used to playing against the defensive setups that he's used to at Palace. Because at Palace he's coming in off the left, and he a lot of the time he's getting that ball on transition when they've broken on the team. Now he's getting the ball and he's got 2 bags of 4 in front of him, and he's trying to work out where to be and where to. What Arteta's barking over there, telling him what to do and everything like that. And he said it himself. He's trying to learn. He's learning different facets of the game that he's never even considered before. So he's doing that on the fly in a position that he's not played in before. Sorry, not played in, regularly, as for Palace. And he's doing it for the club that he loves. He's back there, so everything means something for him even more so now. There's so much pressure on him, and it's a shame that even the goal that he scored was against his old team, so he couldn't let himself go and celebrate that goal that he scored, sort of thing. At the Emirates, obviously he scored against Port Vale, but I just think, he's still adjusting. And it's just pressure. It's just pressure cooking. We have to. We have to get wins and everything. So I think he's doing okay. He's not. He's not blowing everyone away. Me away yet. But I just think it's because he's not used to playing under those circumstances and stuff. And I think it'd be interesting to see what happens when Odegaard. I think when Odegaard's fit, he'll probably come back in. You probably before you used to say, okay, he's going to play left wing because obviously that's where he play for City, so for Palace. But Trossard's playing there, and Trossard's playing really well, so he doesn't deserve to get dropped. And then obviously Martinelli was having a good turn of form before he got injured. So it's going to be interesting. But I think he is. I think Steve said here he's playing with himself a little bit. I just think he wants to make sure he's doing everything right. He's being disciplined and showing that he can do it, because it means so much to him, and we'll be the same if we were in those shoes, playing for the club that we love. You'd want to make sure you want to play the next week and the week after that, because you want to do what the manager tells you to do. So I think, it's almost like learning another language for him, really, and he's just trying to do it with everybody watching, and but the circumstances are sort of different to what he's used to. But no, it's a good question. But I think, as you say, Neil, Arsenal players, which they're judged differently. Gyökeres is judged differently. He's scored 5-6 goals, and they're talking like he hasn't done anything at all so far for us this season. And it is what it is. All we can do is try and just keep winning and shut everyone up when we're lifting a couple of trophies at the end of the season. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But no, great question. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. Really, really appreciate it. On this Monday evening, and we'll be back maybe next week for a preview against the neighbours. Maybe we'll see.
The team that doesn't exist.
The team with no name. And maybe we might have a quick preview show, just because obviously we've got the international break, and we'll see how the land lies with people coming back from injury and what have you and stuff like that, and hopefully we'll have some good news going into the derby, and then we can have a quick chat about it. But appreciate it. Thank you so much, Cornelius. Great debut from yourself. Thank you so much. Definitely have you back on again soon if you want. We appreciate it. And obviously, thanks to you, Neil, the most dangerous Arsenal fan alive, Arsenal Jason Bourne. He's going to be slinking back in the shadows. So watch his back. He'll be running around Westminster with CIA on his tail. Sure. And
where did you get this from?
But thank you so much. Thanks for everyone in the chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your comments and support of the channel. Really, really great stuff. Like I said, we'll be back hopefully next week for a quick North London derby preview and some chat about whatever else. But all that's left is come on, you Gunners, and keep it Arsenal.